Happy New Year. Wow, 2022. Are you guys ready? Unfortunately, 2022 does not start very nicely. And that is our topic today, talking about this thing called Log4j. And what is it? Why are we talking about it on a broadcast engineering channel? It's scary stuff. It really is. And I have a special guest today who will be talking with us about it. Good friend of mine, Jeff McGinley, and we'll talk to him here in a second. But first, even though it is terrible, terrible stuff, scary stuff, we have to do one thing that's really nice and new for the new year. You ready? Out with the old, in with the new. I love these hats. Now I'll see if I can keep this one clean. All right, let's talk to Jeff. Well, I'm joined with Jeff McGinley from Odyssey. Well, I mean, I guess I could let you introduce yourself since you're better at it than me. But hi, Jeff.
No, that's all right. You can keep the praise. I'm fine with all of this. Yeah, I'm with Odyssey in Northwest in both Portland and Seattle, but based in the People's Republic of Portland.
Ah, yes. Jeff is probably one of the smartest guys I know. So don't let the modesty. He really, really is.
Well, we'll see. I'm just a simple chief engineer, and you brought me on for a very complex topic. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes.
Let's see. When did we first meet? It was...
I was working for Telos. It was probably about 2012 or 2013, something like that.
A while ago. A little bit ago.
A bit ago. Lifetime ago.
I think I've learned more from you in dealing with all the Axia and Livewire than I have from any number of sources. So I really do appreciate it.
And I'm happy that you. I'm flattered that you wanted to have me on to talk about this. Really, it kind of blew me away. So I'm happy to be here. Happy to help out with whatever I can.
Today, we're talking about Log4j. And what the heck is Log4j? I've been seeing articles all over the place in, surprisingly not so much in broadcast, but all the email lists have been going crazy. I've been seeing an enormous amount of interest from CISA, Cyber...
Yeah,
CISA, whatever they're called.
The Cyber Infrastructure Security Administration or something like that. It's the feds overseeing all the cybersecurity in the country.
Yeah,
and when the head of CISA comes out and says it's the worst thing she has ever seen, it kind of makes you sit up and take notice on that type of thing. They were all up in a tizzy about it and still are, and so I guess it's kind of a hot topic right now for broadcast of. Well, I guess let's start off with the basics. What is it? What is Log4j? I mean, Log4j. It was a Java, and I'm probably going to slaughter this because I don't know it nearly as well as people that just focus on IT. But it's a Java library that was just imported from all over the place. All these projects would bring in this library, and what Log4j specifically does is for logging. It can write to various logs based upon the application, this, that, and the other. Thus, the Log4j. It's also there's another part of it that's, what is it? I'm going to slaughter it. Either way. So, and it's basically, there can be either a direct or an indirect dependency, right? So let's say we get, an automation system like this one. And that automation system then brings in Java, which imports this library, Log4j. Well, that would be a direct dependency of that, right? We know that this system here is scripted with Java. Most likely that library is going to be in it. Then the indirect dependency is going to be, okay, let's say I have another application and you're not exactly sure what it's scripted in, but somewhere in what they brought in could have Log4j in it, like way down in the weeds. So it's not a direct dependency as far as you know, but it's going to indirectly affect you because of how deep buried it is. And it's just ridiculous to try and to find it, and try and patch it. This is going to be years of pain coming forward. You know, this is not going to be fun. This is a serious thing.
I mean, I've been reading some of the articles as well, and I listened in on a teleconference that CISA did, and there was a lot of very serious tones in that conversation. So, okay, I mean, that's all fine and dandy and great, but we're not Google, we're not Microsoft, we're not Oracle or any of these IT companies. Why would that really...
IT-focused company.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. I mean, why would that really be an issue for us in broadcast?
Okay, excellent question. But I can tell you that I went through 2 ransomware attacks in the course of 3 months, and it's not fun. I probably lost my voice quite a bit just for screaming, just random screaming. So why does it affect us? Well, there's no delineation now at any point between broadcast engineering and IT, right? Everything's all in one. And, it's all scripted. It's all on a network. And there's Java dependencies in almost everything we touch. So why does it matter for us? Well, what Log4j, to get down to the nuts and bolts of it, it does allow a malicious attacker to be able to run a script, run an executable on your machine. So if somebody is going to try and take over your network and, ransom it to get it back from you, this makes it very easy to do. So it's one of those things that there are patches. There are also environment variables. And if you Google them, depending upon your system, there are certain Java environment variables that you can change. And it's pretty easy to protect yourself. So it's one of those things that you don't want to let this go. I can tell you from personal experience, a ransomware attack is the most frustrating and upsetting thing ever. It just feels incredibly selfish for somebody else just to do this. So, and I'm not necessarily, one of my other fears, and this is, I'm piggybacking on another commenter that I saw, is that it's not so much the Oracle, the Google, the Apple, right? My company, we have a NOC, we have SecOps, we've got corporate IT. Those guys are trying to look out for us. And in fact, as soon as it was released, we were actually told to reboot, a handful of servers. They had already pushed out the patch, this, that, and the other. What I'm more scared of is the one-man shop. The guy who's got a couple of stations doesn't have an IT guy necessarily to kick him around and do this. And this is going to be a big deal. And we all know how the day goes, right? We can come in with a plan by 9 a.m., by 9:15, it's shot. We're running off to go and fix the next emergency, this, that, and the other. This is seriously one of those things, do not put off. This needs to be, and I'm not trying to instill fear of God or anybody. Just take it from me. You do not want a ransomware attack. And that's where it's going. I mean, I think it was the Belgian Ministry of Defense shut down half their network today because, they've already been attacked. I think it was ZDNet on Friday said that they were seeing somewhere like 1,000 attacks per second now for this. I was a reporter on ZDNet. Either way, make this a priority. Do not sleep on this one. And of course, it would happen right as we're going into Christmas and Dead Week and everyone's trying to burn their vacation. This really needs to be at the top of the list.
Yeah, I didn't know about some of those 1,000 attacks a second.
And that was Friday. I mean, here we are Monday. Who knows what it's up to now?
Oh my gosh.
It went from like the day it was announced was like 100 an hour or something like that to 1,000 a second. But there's also the theory that, the malicious actors actually knew about this vulnerability way in advance than the actual white hat cybersecurity companies actually releasing it and like finding it for real and saying, we got an issue. I mean, CISA gave it a 10 out of 10 for bad things that could happen. It's all bad juju. So this has got to go right up at the top.
So, golly, how many, I mean, does it affect things like some of our devices, like our let's say like an Axion node that has a built-in web server type thing. Does it affect things like that?
It shouldn't. Now, I mean, I've been away from Telos, so I can't be the official answer.
Sure. No, I mean,
the vast majority of Telos' gear is on Linux. Now, some Linux can be scripted for Java, right? And all of the web pages for X nodes and whatnot, it's all HTML5. I can't tell you if there's going to be an indirect dependency on that there's something they brought in. I don't think stuff like an X node or an FPGA device that is specifically scripted for, a one purpose FPGA chip instead of CPU, where you're scripting that chip to do one thing. I think it's going to be the thing that really scares the hell out of me is what about phones? Ooh. You can have Java on a phone.
Yeah.
iPads, anything like that. So, it's going to affect all of us at some point, so we went around and we did all of our servers that we did. We patched what we could, this, that, and the other, but there's a bunch of older computers around here that the NOC isn't pushing, isn't monitoring. It's up to us. It could be like a remote computer up at the transmitter site. All this stuff is going to have to be touched. Every single one of them.
Man. I'm just thinking about all the different computers that we have. But I mean, I guess things like Nautel transmitters,
could be.
They could have Java in them. I mean, there are
all the new
I'm at a loss for words for this. I mean, it's just
the GUIs on the FAX 50s, the FLX, the IP200. I don't know. I mean, it certainly does look like it could be a Java-based application. I can't say for sure. And I'm not trying to throw shade on Gates or anything like that, but
sure,
I think that everyone's going to have to at least check for if they don't have a direct dependency. I don't know, maybe issue a press release so we stop sweating about this and waking up in the middle of the night and say, look, all this stuff is fine. Go worry about everything else, but this stuff is good, because that would be really what would be the best is if companies just started coming out and saying, and I'm sure that they are. I'm not trying to say that people are just resting on their laurels, but it is a worrying time. Last thing I want. So imagine if your automation system got ransomware. That happened to a pretty major company about 3 years ago, and they went after their automation system and locked it up. I mean, thankfully, when we got nailed, we didn't get hit with the automation system. It was all the Office stuff. So we still had all the critical systems up and running and everything like that. But it certainly made just doing daily business rough and tenfold harder. Imagine if somebody got into your automation system and locked it up. How would you keep your stations on the air if the automation system's down?
Yeah, I mean, short of having a person in there, jockeying CDs like the old days.
Yeah. Old school radio.
But, I mean, I don't know if companies, most companies are running, for the most part, unattended. And that's a huge expense to have to, we're hiring a bunch of new people today.
Exactly. Yeah, especially coming out of the pandemic when, broadcasting really, really got hit hard. Yeah. Right. Yeah. To all of a sudden be like, hey, we need to hire 40 more part-time jocks. Sure.
And guess what? We're going to train you on the job.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be fine. There's going to be no train wrecks on the air, no dead air. No, I'm sure the coronaries in the engineering department will be kept to a minimum. It won't be that bad at all.
No, not at all.
And maybe I'm just being completely pessimistic about this. It's just from what I've read and everything like that. And I have not gone probably near as deep as a lot of the people who run NOCs and corporate IT security, that's, SecOps and stuff like that. And just from what I've read and thinking about my little environment here, it scares the willies out of me.
I know some of the viewers on this channel have more IT background than I do. Some of them are more IT focused than broadcast focused. But are there workarounds? Are there actual fix patches out there available?
There are patches. Yeah, there are patches. And then there are environmental variables that you can change depending upon what system you're running. You can go into the advanced properties on your computer. We can go into the environment variables and you can make stuff like that. There are a number of those things already out, right? So, but then again, that goes back to one of the direct dependencies. That's when we know that there's Java in a system that we can also control. But what if something is scripted indirectly that you don't know about? It's going to be a busy couple of years for everyone who codes coming up.
Hey, now's the time to get into coding, I guess.
Now's the time to get into coding. That's what my 7-year-old nephew is getting for Christmas, so there you go. Start him have him in here as an unpaid intern by next summer. I'll tell you that. Nice.
Well, I really appreciate you coming in here and scaring the crap out of me. Thank you.
I didn't mean to come on here and be the harbinger of doom, that we all need to get our tinfoil hats, but this really is something that we all need to take seriously and try to keep up on the news on this. Patch where you can, do what you can to protect yourself because you do not want to get attacked for this stuff. It's going to be bad.
And I do say it kind of jokingly, scaring the crap out of us, but I mean, it is a really serious big thing, probably one of the biggest things. I'm just going to talk about broadcast industry, and content delivery. Probably the biggest thing that we've had to deal with. Would you say? Would that be fair?
Well, think about this. As broadcasters have relied more upon, automation systems or certain types of spot delivery, that could be coming down like automatic stuff, the automatic delivery and ingesting of spots or anything like that. Think about, control computers at transmitter sites, certain devices that we don't know, like, all of the STL gear and stuff like that. Are those things vulnerable? Everything needs to kind of be gone through with a fine-tooth comb. So it's going to be busy. And of course it happened right before 90% of us are all trying to burn our vacation and get out of here.
Of course. Well, Jeff, I really, really appreciate you coming on and talking to us about it a little bit because, you are much more smarter than I am about this stuff. And and I appreciate it. I appreciate you kind of explaining it, the seriousness of it, the gravity of it, but also kind of the solution, of making sure getting all that stuff is patched and upgraded. So,
yeah. I mean, it's still going to be painful. I mean, one of us is probably going to get nailed by something eventually. But it's just being proactive and you mitigate that risk. Anyway, thank you, my friend. Thank you for having me on.
No, I really enjoyed it. Thank you. And thanks for carving out a few minutes out of your late evening tonight. So
my pleasure.
Thanks. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you so much for joining me, talking with me about this crazy thing. Log4j, I think is going to haunt me in my dreams tonight. Make sure all your servers are patched. Make sure all your computers are patched. Anyways, thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. If you are not subscribed, subscribe. Every once in a while, I will talk to subject matter experts like Jeff, people who are way, way, way smarter than I am about different topics in broadcast. And like Jeff mentioned, broadcast and IT have been kind of melding, in the last several years. And so what's the difference between an IT person and a broadcast engineer person? Well, there's a little bit of a difference. IT people don't generally deal with RF, like higher power RF. Wi-Fi access point is as high power as they get. But other than that, we're all using computers. Computers are what's playing out our automation. Computers are what's controlling our transmitters. Computers are life now. So, anyways, I really appreciate you, Jeff. Thank you so much for coming on. And thank you for being here, for watching, for being a part of this channel. If you are not subscribed, please subscribe. Like I said, I'll be talking to others about different topics in the future. And if you like this video, Click the little like button right down there. We will see you as we continue through 2022. Thank you for being here, and stay warm. It's getting cold out there. No, actually, better. Stay patched. Stay up to date. Keep your software up to date. Yeah, we'll go with that one. All right, see ya.